Hey there, I'm the MadCatster. Am I glad to see you here? Well, Happy New Year. People have asked me, what about Austin McBroom's parent? And so I, over the holidays, took a look at Allen McBroom, who is Austin McBroom's father. And have you ever heard that expression, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree? Well, in this case, it's very, very accurate and apt. So we're going to look at Allen McBroom's checkered past. I've got the receipts, so buckle up and let's go. Well, I'm here with Sybil the Enforcer, and thank you for all of your good wishes. She is over her cold. She did have to go back to the vet today for an injection for the steroids for the inflammation in her mouth, but she seems to be feeling no pain right now because they gave her a little something. Anyways, she says, let's start the new year off right. Please like and subscribe. We're getting close to 18,000. We need 130 more subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, and I know a lot of you aren't, and Sybil says thank you. So let's talk about Allen McBroom. A lot of you have asked me, what about Allen McBroom? What about Nicole McBroom, Austin's parents? And previously I'd done a cursory sort of look at them and didn't really see anything of interest, but someone brought it up again because back, I don't know, a month or so ago, Austin and Catherine did a video where it was like house for sale. Well, of course it's not their house because they don't have a house to sell. They're renting a house. They're talking about Allen McBroom's house because I guess he wants to move for whatever reason. I took a look to see what was going on with the house and if there was anything else, and I uncovered some interesting things. So we're going to divide this video into a couple of sections, or a few sections. The first, we're going to talk about the house briefly, but then we're going to talk about all of Allen McBroom's history of lawsuits, not in depth, so don't get nervous. I'm just going to cover like what he's been sued for, because some of them, the more recent ones, he shares with Austin and Catherine. He's been named along with the Ace family because he's involved in a lot of the things that they get up to. Then we're going to talk about, his criminal record, because yes, I found that he does have a criminal record, and it was for a felony. And then I'm going to talk about his companies, because he has a couple of interesting companies that have done some interesting things. We're going to talk about that, but I thought the best person to handle this is going to be Mr. Shady. We're going to get into it right now. So, Mr. Shady, well, hello, gentle viewers, and Happy New Year. I spent a beautiful holiday in Iceland where I watched the volcanic lava flows from the volcano that's erupting there. I went and soaked myself in the Blue Lagoon so that my skin is baby soft. And then I sat and watched the Aurora Borealis, or Northern Lights in the sky, when all of a sudden I saw the cat signal. And I knew that something was brewing at home. So I hurried onto my Icelandair flight and I landed back here at home. And I've rushed here to give you a report on the Ace family's paterfamilias, Allen McBroom, the patriarch of the Ace family, the person who Austin McBroom seems to emulate the best because they have quite a few things in common in their pasts, including lawsuits, although Austin hasn't graduated to the criminal record yet, which his father has, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let's get to, first of all, talking about the lawsuits, because Allen McBroom, like his son, has quite a long history of lawsuits stretching back a number of years. We're not going to go into any of them in detail because the most recent ones he actually has in common with Austin McBroom and the Ace family, because he's named as a defendant in most of those lawsuits as well. So we don't need to rehash all of those, but I'm just going to show you right now. We're going to go over briefly what he's been sued for in the past. So you can see here, like his son, Allen McBroom has been named as a defendant in some of the recent Ace family lawsuits. And we've got here, starting with 2022, we're going to work backwards. Contractual fraud in 2022, contractual fraud in 2022, other breach of contract or warranty 2021, contractual fraud 2021, defamation, slander, libel 2021, contractual fraud 2012, contractual fraud 2010, other promissory note collections 2009, contractual fraud 2008, small claims 2003, Other real property rights case, 2002. Contract warranty breach, seller. So I don't know. I'm assuming that means probably real estate. 2008 collections case, seller. 2008 collection case, seller. 2008. Other promissory note collections, 2008. Small claims, 1994. Collections, 2008. And then his divorce in 2011. So you can see Austin is well on his way to besting his father's record of number of lawsuits. And we'll keep our eye on. I've been watching the lawsuits that are pending. There hasn't been any movement recently, so I will update you as soon as there is. This all started, my whole dive into Allen McBroom's past started when the Ace family posted a video about selling his father's house.
He's 52? Yeah. He's 52, so he's been here for all 52 years. I feel like he wants to move out to the valley, closer to his grandkids.
So you can see they're saying that he wants to sell the house because he wants to get out of the valley. And actually, that valley, Antelope Valley, is the same place where the Ace Fest was. But I looked at the records for his house and I found a couple of interesting things. So you can see here the transaction records for the house, and it looks like he must have bought land and built the house in 2018. And then for some reason, he had it in the name of he and his wife, Erica. For some reason, they transferred it in 2019 just to his name. Then there's a couple of contractor liens, which doesn't that sound familiar? And then he took out not really a home equity loan, and it's not a refinance, but there's this company in the Boston area that like invests in your house. And I'm not going to get into it because I read through it. It was very complex thing. It's basically they lend you money, and when you sell the house, they not only get their money back, but they get like a percentage of the sales price as a return on their investment. But what's really weird is after he did that, he has a company called Ausland Inc., which is like Austin and Landon, his two sons' names put together, Ausland Inc. And I've looked at the corporate records, and this is the second time he's created this company. He had created it a while ago and then dissolved it. And so he created it again, and he transferred the house to the name of the company, which, you know, sometimes people do things like that. But what's really weird is he transferred it back to himself not long afterwards. At first I thought, well, is he trying to get out of the loan that he got? But I read through it, and if he transfers the property, that loan that he took out goes with the title of the house. So he's not trying to get out of the loan. And I thought, well, maybe it's taxes. But then he like almost immediately transferred it back to himself. So I'm not really sure if any of you knows why, because I couldn't figure it out. Why on earth he would want to make that transfer to the company and then back to himself in such a short period of time. It didn't make any sense. Anyway, so, you know, I'm not saying there's anything shady about it, although he's a McBroom, but I just couldn't figure out what the logic was. So that was the story with the house. So that's what started this whole dive into Allen McBroom that I did. What I discovered quite by chance when I was searching for lawsuits was that Allen McBroom has a criminal record. So you can see here, when I searched on McBroom, I came up Allen Sean McBroom. There's one case, it's listed twice here, but it's the same case. And it's in Antelope Valley Courthouse, so, and I know it's the right person. It was filed on November 28th, 1995. So I was like, well, what is this all about? So now you'll see, here we get into the meat of the case. So now if you look at this, look at the top here where I've highlighted, it says November 28th, 1995. And then there's a number here. It says American Contractors, Herman Brothers. So I think those are the people who the crime was perpetrated against. And it looks like the amount involved was $20,000, which is not a small amount by any standard. And then you'll see a bunch of dates here, and it says bail to stand. So he was given bail. Okay, so now what did he do? Well, it says count one. There's only one count. It says 487A of the Penal Code. He pleaded not guilty. It says he was held to answer, which means that because he pleaded not guilty, then the prosecutor has to submit what's called a statement of information or information, which basically lays out the charge in detail, like what he's being charged with. So I looked up in the California Penal Code to see what the charge was, and it's larceny and it's grand theft. 487A says when the money, labor, or real or personal property taken is of a value exceeding $950. And then it says when the property is taken from the person of another. So this is a felony. He was charged with a felony, and he was charged with taking money or property or something from, I'm guessing, this construction company that's named. And so I looked at the case to see like what the outcome was, and you can see here they had an arraignment, they had a preliminary hearing, it was scheduled 3 times, and then nothing. So this is what I gather happened. He must have cut some kind of a deal, and after he had served his probation or whatever he was given, he must have filed for what's called an expungement. What does an expungement do? And this is probably something you've heard before, and contrary to what you might think, it doesn't mean that the criminal history is completely wiped out. That, if you had your record sealed, that would then prevent people from being able to see exactly what you were charged with. But under California Penal Code, it says an expungement releases you from virtually all penalties and disabilities arising out of the conviction, which means that it won't be disclosed to potential employers. It doesn't basically show up when you do a criminal records check. However, the criminal record remains a public record, and like I did, you can go and you can look it up. So it's nothing secret, and I'm not like invading his privacy because this is all public record, freely searchable for the general public. So even though it doesn't get disclosed like a normal criminal record would be, it doesn't get erased. So it's still there. So he still has this felony on his record. It's just he's no longer harmed by it in terms of the various reasons why someone would check your criminal history. And you can see here, expungements available, and this is the when you're eligible to petition for an expungement. It says misdemeanors or felonies, provided you have successfully completed probation for the offense, and you either did not serve time in state prison for the case. So my guess is he probably did not have any jail time in state prison or county jail. And so after he successfully completed whatever probation he negotiated with the district attorney, and you can see here, that's exactly what his attorney did. His attorney filed for an expungement, and you can see that it cites the number of the statute here. And so that's what happened. He probably did a plea bargain where I'm guessing he pleaded guilty or no contest, which means you're not admitting that you're guilty, but you're not contesting the charges, which is virtually the same thing. Usually the DA is more willing to work with first-time offenders and they get a lighter sentence. So that's Allen's interesting criminal history. Austin and Catherine haven't quite made it to the criminal record yet. I just want to touch briefly before we wrap this up on the 2 companies, one which Allen McBroom just started in December, so just a few weeks ago, and one which this Auslan I told you about. So Auslan, here, I'll show you the articles of incorporation. It doesn't give any kind of specific type of business this is. It says here, the purpose of the corporation is to engage in any lawful act or activity for which a corporation may be organized under the General Corporation Law of California, other than the banking business. And so basically they can do anything that a company legally can do in California. Again, like I said, this was the second incarnation of this, so I'm not exactly sure what the heck this company is for. What I think is kind of titillating is that last month, Allen McBroom formed a new company, and this company is called Minx, M-I-N-X, and I'm going to show you the filing here. So you can see Allen filed, he's named himself Chief Executive Officer, Chief Financial Officer, and Secretary, and that's not uncommon also. Basically, Allen is all of the director positions. There's nobody else involved in the company but Allen McBroom. And it says type of business, and this time it says social media. So, you know, I looked at the name, I'm like, Minx, M-I-N-X. I mean, doesn't that sound like an adult site or something adult related? Minx, it's kind of a weird name. So we'll keep an eye on Minx and see if we get any inkling as to what it's actually going to do. But in the meantime, Allen McBroom will continue to defend against lawsuits with his son and his daughter-in-law and the Ace family. And we will keep an eye on those, and I'll update you as things develop. But that's where we stand right now. I want to thank Carrie M., who sent us some lightweight cat litter. And she also sent us actually 2 things of cat litter, 2 different brands. So she sent us 2 things of cat litter. So thank you, Carrie C., so much for that. I really appreciate that. If you want me to thank you, you can find the cats, and again, it's just for the cat's Amazon wish list is down below. If you want to send something from there, I will happily thank you online. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate our Patreon patrons. The support you give us is very important to us. We thank our channel supporters. Your support also is important to us. I also want to give a special thanks to the people who've recently bought me a coffee. We've got Jason, who bought me a coffee. We've got Julie, the Mad Cat Lady, bought me a coffee. And then a month ago, Susie bought me a bunch of coffees, which I think I already told you about. And Terry Savage had bought me several coffees as well. Thank you guys so much. I also want to thank the people who have been sending me super thanks, which I haven't really mentioned, but because there's only been a few people who have done it. But thank you guys who send the super thanks. I particularly want to single out Mikael. He has been so wonderful sending super thanks. Almost every time I've posted a video recently, he's sent me a super thanks. Thank you so much. I just want you to know that that is really appreciated. So I want you to know that you also get recognized. I recognize you for sure, but I wanted to mention it here as well. I hope you guys had a great New Year's. I hope you were responsible and didn't do anything naughty. I had a very quiet New Year's this year with the cats at home. I want to thank you guys again for all of your support last year. Looking forward to a great year. If you have any ideas for videos, please send me an email to catstertips@gmail.com. I would appreciate it. Otherwise, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.
Pretty please. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub. Thank you.